Live from TechEd Las Vegas 2013, I'm Carolyn Fitton with SAP Mobile, here with Chuck Newman, our president and co-founder of Schools for Children around the world. Chuck, how are you tonight?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
Chuck, you had a great presentation. Can you give us a high level about your organization, the charity, and what brings you here tonight?
Okay, well actually, our organization has really been concentrating on helping communities and developing countries plan, design, and build schools. And we've been doing that since 1997. And we've also been working with governments, national governments, regional governments, to help them establish minimum design standards for schools and create policies to improve the quality of education in developing countries. And there's huge challenges in many of these countries. They have lack of resources. There's no electricity, no utilities such as water and sanitation. And so what we're trying to do is help local communities and governments understand what they can do to improve the quality of the schools. We also know that many of the classrooms are way too small. If you go to whether it's India or Africa or Central America, you find the classrooms are all 6 meters by 8 meters, which was a European standard back in the early 1900s. And they continue to use those same small classrooms, but many of these countries have 50 children in a single classroom. And we know from research that it forces the teachers to lecture to the students, and it doesn't allow them to allow the students to work together in groups. And we know from research that the students, if you lecture to students, they'll retain about 20% of the information, but if they're able to work in groups, they'll remember 50%. Well, by having these classrooms way too crowded, you're limiting the students to the quality of education and the effectiveness of the education they're getting. So what we're trying to help these developing countries, we understand they have limited resources in terms of the ability to build classrooms and to train teachers. But at least if they start building adequate classrooms now, they'll begin to develop an inventory for the future of good classrooms. If they keep building these small classrooms, 10 years from now, they won't be any better off than they are right now.
Right.
And so we're really trying to help them build better classrooms that are more effective for the children. And I happen to know Stephen Crook, who was here today, and his organization has been fantastic. He's actually a client of our architectural firm, and he found out what we're doing and invited us to be here today.
So let's talk about it. So ExpertIG with Stephen and the team have opened up a challenge, mobile apps for charity.
Yes.
So you talk about solving the problem of education, the school classroom designs. We're here with SAP and a field of technology and experts. How do we take technology and apply it to this challenge?
Well, that's a great question. And what we've done in other countries in the past is we actually study the schools and are able to create a database of the condition of the schools, how many children are in the classrooms, the number of teachers. And we can use that information to go to the governments and show them how inadequate the facilities are, show them the lack of quality, in terms of the classrooms and the inadequacy of the space for the population. And we can help, with that data, we can show them what they can do to start improving the quality of their educational systems. And as I mentioned, in Zanzibar, for instance, all the children are going to school, but they're averaging 58 kids in a 500 square foot classroom, and they're going in 2 shifts a day. And I think that in some cases the politicians see this as that all the kids are going to school, but they don't understand the impact it's having in limiting the quality of education that the children are receiving. So the data that's collected and the analysis that we're able to do after the data is collected will help us provide a great service to the governments, help them understand the challenges they have, and try to create a long-term plan for improving their educational systems.
Right, and I know the SAP Mobile Platform team is here tonight. How does mobile specifically help to address the challenges of data collection and analysis?
Well, that's a great question. In the past, what we've had to do is we would train people to go out and collect the data, and they would fill it out on paper, and they'd bring these forms back with all this data, and then somebody else, that would be given to somebody else who would have to enter it into a database where it could be evaluated. The problem is that there's too much of a chance of inaccuracy, because if you read my writing, you know, a 1 may look like a 7, or you know. And so so what we're looking at is mobile apps would be fantastic, because someone could take their cell phone, a smartphone. We could put all the questions that's needed into the cell phone, and we can get, with GPS, we can get the location of the school, we can have photographs of the school, and then we can have them fill out a questionnaire that would document all the information about the schools. And so the person that's doing the analysis would be able to fill out the data, and that can be sent via wireless or 3G to a central database where all that information could be analyzed. So the quality of information that's being collected is more accurate. It's probably faster, because I've been to Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania. Everybody has cell phones, okay? And their 3G networks there are probably better than they are here, because their equipment is newer. And so if we can have these mobile applications that particularly if they're cross-platforms, so that you can enter the data, whether it's an Apple phone or an Android or a Windows phone or whatever, and if that information can all be gathered into one database, it'll be a great asset. And as I mentioned today, not only can we use it for Schools for the Children of the World in evaluating schools, but when you look at all the 8 organizations in the world that are trying to collect data on healthcare, diseases, water systems, sanitation systems, all these organizations need to be able to collect data. They need to be able to analyze that and then present it to their donors and government officials to help them understand the problem and what's needed to solve the problem.
So how do people get involved? How do people come forward and say, I want to take part in this and solve this challenge?
Well, I think that's a wonderful question, and actually that's one for Stephen and Jim from ExpertIG. They're the ones that are kind of organizing this whole program, and I'm just an architect, so you know.
Well, not just an architect, but Chuck, you're here representing an amazing organization with a great cause. Thank you for sharing your story with us and the rest of the SAP developer community.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks.